We're solving quadratics with a quadratic formula, and the first thing we're going to do is find the a, b, and c values. So a is going to be 1, b is going to be 4, and c is 3. And we're going to put that into the quadratic formula. And then we're going to solve it. So 4 squared is 16, and negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, times 3 is negative 12. So 16 minus 4 is 4. 16 minus 12 is 4. And it's going to be negative 4 plus minus square root of 4 over 2. And that's going to give us negative 4 plus minus 2 over 2. And negative 4 plus 2 over 2 is negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So that's going to be our first x value. And negative 4 minus 2 over 2 is negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So that's our second x value. And now we're going to fill out the table for that. So we know that we get 0 for the x values. So that's what we solved before. And now we're going to plug in the other numbers into our equation to get the rest of the values. And so now that we've got most of them, we're going to double check with the other two to make sure that they all match up. So it looks good so far. We know that the zeros match. And the 8s. And now we know that they all match. So we can just connect to. And our next step is going to be to graph. So yeah, you can see the pattern there. And before we graph, we're going to put it into vertex form. We're going to do this by taking away 3 and putting that to the side. And then we're going to split 4 in half and then square it. And then we're going to take away that 4 that we end up with. So now we're going to take away 4, and that leaves us with x plus, well, we're going to split 4 in half, so that's going to give us x plus 2, and we're going to square all of that, but keep it in parentheses, and then 3 minus 4 gives us negative 1. So our vertex for that is going to be -2, -1. So now we're going to find the points with vertex form. We can plug each of our x values into our vertex formula to find our y values for that. So that's just another way to find our y values. And now that we've got all of our y values, we can finally graph it. So we're going to start at the vertex, which is -2, -1. And then we'll go up to our -1, 0. And then 0, 3. And then 1, 8. And then we can go back down and do the other side, and they're all going to match up. So we'll have -3, 0, -4, 3, and we'll end up with -5, 8. And now you can see that they form a parabola.
Now we are going to be solving a different formula or equation with the quadratic formula, and it's x squared plus 4x minus 21. So it's going to be a is 1, b is 4, and c is -21. So now we're just going to plug it into our quadratic formula equation. So 4 squared is going to be 16, and then 4 times 1 times -21 is going to be 84. And -84 times -1 will give us +84. So then it's 16 plus 84 equals 100. So we're just going to plug that into our equation again. So -4 plus or minus 100, which is the square root of that, divided by 2 is going to be -4 plus 10 divided by 2, which will be will be 6 over 2, which simplifies to 3, and then -4 minus 10 divided by 2 is going to be -14 divided by 2, which simplifies to -7. So x equals 3 and x equals 7. -7. So now we are going to be putting this into vertex form. So it's helpful just to write down your standard form equation again, which is x squared plus 4x minus 21. So then y equals x squared plus 4x plus something in parentheses, and we're doing -21, so put -21 off to the side, and then 4 divided by 2 squared is 4. So now we're going to subtract 4 and then put the -4 on the side. So y equals x plus 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2, squared minus 25, because negative 21 minus 4 is 25. Negative 25. And that's our vertex right there, is the negative 2, comma, negative 25. So now that we have our vertex, we know that negative 2 on our table will be equal to y, negative 25. And then since x equals 3, we put 0 there, and then x equals negative 7, we put 0 next to that too. And then we can plug in the x's on our table to the x's in the vertex form to find the rest of our points. So y equals 1 plus 2 squared is 3 times squared is 9 minus 25, which is equal to 16, negative 16. And then if you want to plug in negative 1, y equals negative 1 plus 2, which is 1 squared is 1, minus 25 is negative 24. And then for negative 3, y equals negative 3 plus 2 squared minus 25, so negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 squared is 1. Minus 25 is negative 24 again, so we start to see our pattern. Or negative 26. Whoops. And then y equals negative 5 plus 2 squared minus 25. So that's going to be negative 3 squared minus 25, which is 9 minus 25, which is negative 16. So this is where we see a mess up in our pattern. So the zeros match, 16s match, but the negative 24 and the negative 26 don't. So we're going to go back and check our work, and we realize that we messed up on the negative 26. So we're going to redo that equation, and it's always good to check your work for this reason. And so y equals negative 3 plus 2 squared minus 25, which is negative 1 squared, which is 1 minus 25 equals negative 24. So we fixed our equation, or our table, and this will help us correctly graph the points. Next. So we made each little cube on the graph worth 2 units in order to fit our whole set of points on there. But we messed up on the x-axis of the graph and only did it by 1. So we're just graphing the points. We graphed 3, 0, 1, negative 16, negative 1, 24, and now we're graphing negative 3, 24, or negative 2, 25, sorry, negative 25, and then now negative 3, negative 24, and then negative 5, negative 16, and then lastly we just have to do negative 7, 0, and connect the dots to form our parabola.